Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to this walkthrough of the 1.0 career in Kerbal space program. My name's Negative Root, and let's get cracking. Now in this episode we're going to be looking at Flyby the Mun, the career mission that pops up automatically for everyone. But before we do that, I thought I'd actually show you what we're going to need to do before it, and it's going to be pretty quick. So this is a ship that I sent up. It's exactly the same as the K3, except I brought some science with me, and now I am orbiting more than 250,000 meters above Kerbin. So that means I get access to something called high science. High above, so I get 15 science there, I'll get a crew report, 7.5 there, and also observe the material bay. Now that's going to give us a good bit of science ready to unlock an important node that I think that I need for the next stage. Now I brought Valentina along because she needed the experience. Jeb was already a 1-star pilot, and after this safe landing, Valentina will be a 1-star pilot as well. So let me show you how to re-enter safely. Basically the trick is firstly to have a heat shield. So we've got one of them, tick. And secondly, it's to spend enough time in the upper atmosphere that you bleed off plenty of speed. So I found that if we go for something along the lines of 40,000 meters, there we go, 40,000 meters, that gives us enough time to bleed off plenty of speed. If we go below that, below about 30k, is when the heating starts, like the really vicious heating. So what we'll do is we'll just hang on to the engine for the moment. We'll warp around the planet. Here we go. And what we'll do is when we come out of time warp, I'll orientate the craft retrograde. Let's just say I'll point the engine to where we're going. And we will time warp again. Now, the important thing is this apoapsis number. Now at 40,000, I'm not sure if this is going to pull us in. So hopefully it does. If it doesn't, well, we'll just go around again and error brake for a second time. So you can see that our apoapsis is coming down. We've got a bit of time yet before we hit the periapsis. We've still got 2 minutes flight time. And what we'll actually do is just make sure that the craft is orientated correctly. And on the stick there, I can actually feel the atmosphere pulling on it a little bit. Now we're in a little bit more of an aerodynamic attitude. We'll be fine. So we may be a little bit high here. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, actually, I think we might be okay. Let me just change this so that it looks a little bit more natural. Yeah, we're going to be fine. This is going to pull us in nicely. Okay, we just want to orientate that craft because we don't want to come in too shallow, otherwise you tend to bounce. If you hit it at say 60,000 meters, you would just go crashing through the atmosphere and just keep orbiting the planet. You would eventually slow down enough, but at this it looks like we're going to be okay. You can see our vertical speed is quite low, which is giving us time to bleed off our horizontal speed before we go crashing down through the planet. And that's the important thing, is to bleed off as much horizontal speed as you can, because that, you can see between the two, that is the majority of our orbital velocity, is our horizontal speed. So let's speed this up, because we need to do a flyby mission. Now there's two ways to do a flyby mission. You can either send it manned or unmanned. I want to go unmanned because I'm conservative like that. But there's nothing wrong with doing it manned, and I'll show you how to actually do a manned flyby incredibly efficiently, like really efficiently. Like, you won't believe how efficient it is. And it's actually something that they did in the real moon missions when they sent the Apollo missions up. You can see that the heating effects are going to start now, so I need to make sure that I'm piloting this, the bad boy. Now actually what we'll do is we'll ditch the engine because that's just going to add extra drag, and it's going to make it harder to fly. So you see here, we're coming in really flat still. There goes that booster. We want to just keep it pointed on the prograde, sorry, on the retrograde, and just ride this vector in now. You see that we're coming in nice and gently. The heat shield hasn't even started to heat up yet. That's excellent. And generally we're just sitting real pretty. Coming in over the mountains. Now it's a shame that we can't get a second crew report, because that would be really handy right about now. That's okay, because we've got plenty of science on board. As the fireworks continue. So the ablator is just starting to heat up now. We're doing 1.6 kilometers per second, and that's falling rapidly. You can see our horizontal speed is being stripped away, and that's excellent. And re-entry is going to be something that you'll need to get used to if you're going to do manned missions. And certainly it's easy with just a little pod. You can see that it's not really been any problem whatsoever. We've used exactly 9 ablator out of 200, and we're sitting pretty. So at roughly 10 kilometers, we will blow the chute. We'll blow it now, why not? And we'll actually increase the altitude to 1,000 meters. We'll de-engage SAS and we'll speed everything up, because we are home safe. We're going to land this mission and move on to the Mun, because the Mun is an important step in this space program's road to conquering the Kerbin solar system, or the Kerbal solar system. Here comes the landing. Slow down. Touchdown. Oops, wrong button. Now, what else do we want? Do we get a mystery goo? Why not? Hey, Andy, 3 science, won't laugh at that. So, that's how you re-enter safely. And that may change depending on the version of Kerbal Space program. The re-entry is currently a little bit broken, so I had it a little bit easy. Okay, so we'll grab that. And actually we've got enough science, so we can grab another one of these. Flight control would be handy. That wouldn't be so handy. Aerodynamics. Ooh, I'll grab this, because this gives me decouplers. And also the nose cone. Now, Mun mission. Let's design our Flyby the Mun craft. So we need a new one, and we're going to call it the Moonshot. We're going to go with the Stay Putnik. Are we? Yeah, this got tricky all of a sudden. Okay, change of plans. I'm going to do it manned. I know I said I was going to do it unmanned, but I'll do it manned. Right, so that means we're going to need to come up with a craft that can get there and back, because we don't just want to send them out there forever, like an extended holiday, but different. Like, that's not what we want. So we want to go with a heat shield, a decoupler. Okay, now we're going to go with our orbital stage. Now, something that I have, and I'll see if I can just show it to you. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Let me add an image. And this is something very, very handy to have up when you're playing KSP. Oh, Now this is called a delta V map. When I get it on the screen, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Basically, what it tells you is how much fuel you'll need to get to a given spot. And clearly it's huge. So the important part is down the bottom here. So this is what we need to focus on. Kerbin to the Mun. Now, the Kerbin numbers are a little bit off, but the Mun numbers are fine. Anything that's in space is fine. The only reason the Kerbin numbers have changed is because the atmospheric modelling is now different. You need closer to 4,000 rather than 4,500. So we're going to need roughly, say, 1,000 delta V to go from low Kerbin orbit to a Mun intercept. So call it 1,000. So 1,000 delta V when we're up there. Okay, I think that's doable. So I'll get rid of that picture and we'll come back to what I'm going to build here. So we're going to need something with plenty of kick. So we're going to need roughly 5,500 delta V to do this. So roughly 4,000 delta V to get into orbit, and then roughly another 1,000 to get out to the Moon and back. So let's go with the Reliant. That's 5,000 delta V. The kick is okay. Now unfortunately I'm going to have to run with the swivel engine. Now I'm missing a few things actually. I want some batteries, and actually I'm going to attach a service bay. So I'm going all that way. I want to do some science while I'm out there. So we have mystery goo, and we'll get 2 of them, and we'll get some thermometers as well. We'll get 2 of them. So if I'm going to go all that way, I want to be able to, yeah, do some science, get some data to help us with additional Mun missions later on. So there we go. We'll set that up. That's nice. We'll close that. Okay, that's all in a package that'll come back to us now. So we're a little bit short. Let's get that sorted. How many parts we got? We've got 20 of 30, which means we can use another 10. So I think we'll go with a heavy configuration booster. So that means we're going to use the hammers. And they're going to need a winglet. Now you can see that our mass is now too big. Now this is where we're going to get a little bit complicated. We have what we need in terms of delta V. I'm quite happy with that. We'll turn this down so that we're at a little bit of a happier number there. We could actually add another there. Now all those numbers make sense. That'll burn for 44 seconds. That's okay. Then they'll drop away. Now the mass is the only issue. Now this is where you guys are going to have to grind a little bit in career mode. What I'll do is I'm going to upgrade this. Now I have a mod installed that it reduces the cost of upgrades just so I can do this series in a reasonable time frame. That's to say very quickly. You guys are going to have to grind to get that. So now we have the mass, we've got the height and everything under control. We've got another 3 parts that we can fit to the craft if we wanted to, but we're not going to. I'm thinking that this is our moonshot. Just make sure the angle snap is on, symmetry. Now that's all square to the launch pad. Now I'm going to grab something else, just so I can demonstrate what happens. It's not actually strictly needed, so I'm going to grab an upgraded tracking station. Rightio, let's go to the Mun. Let's send Jeb because he's expendable. We'll see how we go. Actually, what I want to do is I want to go back to the Space Center. Now they've added something in 1.0 which is really nice, and I love it, and it's awesome. Warp to next morning, it's just down here, you click that and it'll warp to the next day. There we go. Morning. Let's fly this thing. It should have the charge still. If it doesn't, we'll just revert it. It does, excellent. So we'll power it up, SAS engage. Jeb, buddy, good luck. Now I'm hoping that the gimbaling on this bottom engine is enough to control it. If it's not, this launch is going to go very badly. And I'm just going to have to be really careful to make sure that my rocket doesn't get too out of shape with regards to its attitude. When I say attitude, I mean its relation to the prograde vector. Basically, I'm going to have to keep it in the square. If I don't, I'm in trouble. We'll drop those boosters. We'll keep the lean going. We're a little bit behind the pace. That's okay, because we don't want to push it too hard. If we push it too hard, we'll end up in trouble. Come on! Tilt your bugger. We're steadily getting there. And after we've achieved orbit, the next thing to do will be to get an intercept with the Mun. Now if you don't have the upgraded tracking station, that's okay. I'll show you a foolproof way of getting there. Now we've got it. Now we're on the ball. Jeb, good flying, buddy. Keep tilting it over. Have a look at our marker. Yeah, we're looking the goods right now. This stage has still got plenty of burn time left. So we'll keep burning in this direction. We're at 26 kilometers and rising rapidly. Now that we have patched conics, you notice that the orbits are now blue, which means that you can add maneuvers to the game. And maneuvers are very cool. It allows you to plan out what will happen basically if you were to fire the engines in a certain direction. Keep pushing this. Keep pushing it. Okay, there we go. That's our stage. Go back. Stage it up. Rightio. We'll keep burning. Actually, I might pick up the apoapsis a little bit. I want to get out of the thick stuff as much as I can. And we're going pretty flat now, so I'll just stay at about 15 degrees. Get that apoapsis up out of the atmosphere, so that we can then add a maneuver, get an orbit, and then head to the Mun. Now speaking of the Mun, where is it? Oh, it's over there. Now the reason I'm going to use the maneuver nodes for this is because I want to plot a certain kind of trajectory. And it is incredibly difficult to do without a maneuver node. So we're going to go up to say 75, gives us a bit of room to move. Wait, why doesn't that want to? Okay, apparently I don't have a maneuver nodes yet. That could be problematic. That's alright. We'll just wait for us to get a little bit closer. This moon trip won't be strictly how I planned it, I don't think, but that's okay. Let's just continue to wait. So when it gets the apoapsis, we'll circularize the orbit. Our orbit isn't actually too bad. Actually, pro tip, if you're ever trying to line something up so you know that it's 0 inclination around Kerbin, target the Mun, because the Mun is 0 inclination. So when your ascending and descending node is 0 with the Mun, you know that you're in a perfectly 0 degree orbit. Right now I'm in a 0.8 degree orbit. So, pro tip for you. That's probably a little bit advanced for what we're doing, but whoa! Too quick. Okay. We'll get this sucker in orbit and then we'll go back and have a look, and I'll try and figure out what's happening with these patch conics and the maneuver nodes. Okay. There we go. 74, 80, lovely. We're in orbit. So let's jump back to the Space Center for a moment and I'll try and figure this out. Flight planning available, yes, okay. Some of these bloody things don't want to. Hey. I must say, there's been some glitches that have snuck into the game with 1.0. Okay. Unknown orbit object tracking. Can perform EVAs. Basic action groups. Flight planning. Maybe this is what we want. Right, let's jump back to our Mun mission. Rightio, flight. Now, the foolproof way of getting to the Moon is to burn when it rises. So you get in here, right? And you see that it's about to rise, actually. So when we get to about here in the orbit, it's going to rise. And you just burn. Okay, and you'll meet it over here somewhere. You burn until your orbit meets the Moon's orbit. So you'll come out and you'll meet. It won't show you when you don't have the tracking station upgraded, but trust me, you'll hit it. Pretty straightforward. Now, can we... Oh, there we go. We can add a maneuver. Excellent. Now, what I want... Ooh. No, that's a little bit crazy. But what I want is what's called a free return trajectory. So basically I go out and I come back. Hit that smack bang on the nose. Again. Alright, there we go. That's not exactly it, but it'll get us into the sphere influence of the Mun, and when we come back we'll actually be a little bit closer to Kerbin than when we started. So that is what we'll do. Now I'll show you. I'll get focused on the maneuver node. Okay. Then we'll turn off SAS. Okay, because we don't want a drain on our batteries. Now we've got 2 minutes to the node. Now you watch. Okay, when I'm here, what happens? So remember, as the Moon rises, that's when you want to burn. Ta-da! It's pretty much perfect. Okay, every single time. As the Moon rises, burn for it. You'll meet it over to the left somewhere. I'm going to be a little bit more precise than that and get it on a free return trajectory. So I need to turn on SAS for the moment, and I want to burn. No, I'm a little bit early. I want to burn. Oops. Now. Okay. So you can see that you've got quite a wide margin for error, and also when you get out here you can do some adjustments to still meet it. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, now, I'm not going to follow the maneuver node. I'm just going to tweak it by hand now. So I know what direction I need to burn in. Okay, now there's our Mun periapsis, right, and it's coming back around. We're out there currently. Now if I was to jump over here, I can see what my orbit's doing. Okay, so I can burn out. And basically that's just going to decrease its influence on our orbit. You can see I can just adjust it how I want. Obviously we're getting further and further away, but that's okay because I want to come back. I don't want to be stuck out here. We've got plenty of fuel. There's an periapsis of 88. And I think what we might do is we'll be happy with that. Okay? So we'll come back in 2 days' time and we will lock off our SAS. We'll turn it off. And now all there is to do is wait. Jeb needs to play some cards or something and that'll be it. And as we get closer, you can see that we're going to be actually outside the Mun's orbit. So we're going to be out here, right, going in this direction, but relative to the Moon we're going to be moving this way. Because the Moon is going to be moving faster than us, and it's confusing as shit, I know, but just play the game for a while and you'll get there, you'll understand it eventually. And see what we're going to do now. So you can see that we're going to encounter the Moon, and then the Moon's going to go shooting past us. It's actually going to give us a little bit of velocity, which is going to be nice. And that means we're going to be on our way back to Kerbin. So we'll speed this up. We just want to warp in to the SOI. Apparently we haven't got the contract. Yeah, anyway, we achieved it, even though we didn't have it. Yeah. As you can see, mistakes are just part of the game. So let's jump back to the moonshot, because I want to show you how to land it to get it back. And we also need to do our science while we're up here. So we'll open up the bay. We'll trigger the mystery goo. Ooh, 20 science. That's excellent. 10 science for that. Temperature, I don't think we... Oh, we can. 16 science for that one. Yeah, that's great. We can't EVA yet. But there we go. There is the Moon. And we're right off it. So that's pretty cool. So let's get this bad boy home, because he's going to be late for supper. So we'll just warp in. Now what we'll do is we'll make a mid-course correction. So about here. And basically we will burn retrograde. To slow ourselves up a little. And I want to get us down to, say, 50. Well, actually, we'll get ourselves down to about 30. And that'll be a good spot, I'm thinking. So we'll walk forward a bit. Uh-oh. We nearly broke it. We need to swing the craft around real quick. There we go. Need to close the surface bay doors and get ready for re-entry. We might, we got plenty of fuel left in the engine, so that was a good oversight. So let's get rid of it. Because we've got everything we need in this little stage here. We've got our science in our service bay, and we've got our pilot in our capsule. So let's re-enter. No, we're already going up. That is not ideal. Bugger. So we'll have to walk back around to it. And this is kind of the purpose of error braking, is to steadily slow yourself down. We walked through the planet's atmosphere last time, which probably wasn't the best. But anyway, it's just part of managing the Kerbal Space Program. Go on, we're nearly there. And 30,000 is really, really deep. So we can see here that our apoapsis is coming in at a great rate of knots, and we're still not at the lowest point. So we're getting some heating effects already, which means we're going quick. So we're at about 1,000 meters per second more than what we normally are, which makes sense because if you remember the Delta V map, it took us 900 to get to the Mun, and when we're coming in from orbit we're about 2.1, 2.4ish. So we're yeah, it makes all sense. Surprising, I know, isn't it? And we're still technically in orbit still. Our ablator is going well. You can see our orbit is all the way down to 500,000, and that's from 6 million or whatever it was. You see, we're starting actually to... no, it's going to capture us. Nice. You can see our fall rate is somewhere between 10 and 100. So that means we're actually not going down that quickly, which is exactly what we're after. This is going to be a really, 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 really nice re-entry. So on that note, with Jeb about to toast some marshmallows out the window, I'll thank you very much for joining me. In the next episode, we're going to cover how to rendezvous two craft in orbit, and it's going to be a lot of fun.